What's going on? Welcome to Totally Blitz Podcast. Man, what a weekend of fighting. We're going to break down UFC Boston. And oh boy, what an event it was. Go down, like and subscribe, comment your thoughts of the new champion and still champions that ended up this weekend. As always, I'm Paul, picking when I'm Concha. I got my drink poured up, and who's with me?
And I'm also known as the saltiest motherfucker alive. Your boy Kev, Water Boy, boy, aka the Don PYE, aka in the closet, Aljo Stan. Again, we back in the closet. Gotta be quiet. Can't say nothing no more. But Pablo, man, 292 was an interesting card. There were definitely some shocking moments on that bitch. A lot of people are saying it kind of had a little mix of everything, shocking moments, outstanding fights. There was a point
Ass
where people
whoopings.
ass whoopings like a motherfucker. There was a point where people, I can't remember exactly which fight. I remember when we talked about it, people were spazzing about one of the decisions. You had a legend and Chris Weidman coming back. This card low-key had a setup for everything. But like, I don't think it was that great a card. I just think it was set up to be spectacular and it just held it down. Like, it's not no UFC 290. It's not no motherfucking, but it's still a great card though. Like, I think it was good. But maybe that Aljo versus Henry Cejudo card might have been a little better. I'm gonna go rewatch when they both come back. But it just had everything it needed to take to be a great card and an awesome crowd. But it was a good card. But I don't think it was a great card.
So you see, that's why I'm not wearing my Dana White T-shirt for this episode right now. There
Oh,
was, the last two pay-per-views back to back, Dana White recap T-shirt on. Why? Because it was a banger of a card, and it was a good card. It wasn't a bad card, but I will say that the finish of the main event saved this card from being a bad card. If every fight went to a decision on the main card, no MMA fans, we got like short spans. Like we're not gonna sit there for like an hour and a half main card if every fight's going to decision, and then you're giving me the Modelo commercials, some Toya tire commercials. Like you're giving me all that shit also. Like I'm not like so it was a I think it was a roller coaster. When there was some big shit that happened, like the Katana and fight that happened, we're up here. We're at the fucking peak. We're rolling it. But then we go downhill with some decisions. And then Sugar Sean, it's so funny. I was telling my coworkers at work who had no idea what UFC is and don't really care. I'm just sitting there like it was slow as fuck on for a Saturday. And they were like, why is it so slow? I'm like, everyone's at home. They're like, why? I'm like, for the Sugar Show. And like the first like 2 hours, they thought it was some like Netflix show about like baking or something. And I'm just like, they're like, what's the Sugar Show? And I'm like, the Sugar Show, Sugar Sean O'Malley's fighting tonight. And then all of a sudden, like, but then we're gonna open up with the egg on our head segment, but like we and you went out bad with the whole
oh, went out bad.
early. Like we were. But the worst part is I doubled up on my bets. Like I had money, I had parlays already sitting. The last leg left was Aljamain, and I should have let the parlay sit. Like, okay, I'm still gonna win if Aljamain wins. But now I was like, fuck it, here, Jasmine, I'm gonna send you some money. Can you send some money to my Bitcoin so I can put some money on the books? And then all of a sudden I wake up, bro. I don't even know this, bro. I actually fell asleep in between the Lemos main event to the way Lee main event to Sugar Sean. Next time I wake up, fuck what happened? I have to go check the ESPN. I see Sugar second round KO. I'm like, oh, I woke up in the Twilight Zone. Oh no, my bank account. Oh no. Open up my betting app. I just lost. And I was like, the Aljamain anchor was on every single one. Rest winners. Aljamain anchor on every bet. Just sunk my ass, bro.
It'd be
But
like that.
yeah, great, good card. Let's open up. I mean, we the egg on our head. We went out bad, Kev. At one point I did say Sugar Sean would need a gun to win this fight come Saturday.
He had one.
I didn't know that right hand was a fucking pistol, bro. They didn't tell me.
And we'll talk more about it when we break down this card, but I agree, egg on your head. And this was an interesting feeling though, because I'm so happy for Sean O'Malley. Like that's why I said I'm not a mad motherfucker. I'm a salty motherfucker. I'm so happy. I'm watching this press conference with no sound on right now, just because of how happy and excited I am for Brody. But at the same time, Aljo, man, you could have won that one. Like you definitively won the first round between all three judges, and it was just like We'll talk more when we break down this card, but this shit left a really sour taste in my mouth. Cause I was like, not only did you lose, but you lost because you just didn't like handle business the way you were supposed to. You kind of. We'll talk more about it, but I was just sitting. I was gonna call you afterwards, but like I was just sitting in the room for like a good 2 hours. Like I probably didn't go to sleep till like 3 a.m. And 2 hours just like listening to music, but not like music was playing in the background, but I wasn't listening. And I was like, oh, let me throw the press conference on. Didn't want to watch it. Didn't want to watch it. I'm watching it now. But this shit left a really salty, sour taste in my mouth. It wasn't until I looked up and I'm like, oh fuck, it's 3:30. Damn. Like I've been sitting here for a minute not doing shit. I was burning a little bit, putting a couple in the air, but like that shit, I mean, I didn't know how to feel. I was wrong, and I don't like being wrong. I'm happy Sean O'Malley has come from the bottom to the top. Love to see it every time. Dana, you finally see Dana White lit because they finally somebody that they were pushing finally motherfucking did what they were supposed to do and to get the dubs. Like it's a great. It was just an interesting roller coaster. And then I also didn't want to. I didn't even join any Twitter spaces because like I didn't want to listen to niggas talk shit to me about being wrong to take away from like, yo, Sean O'Malley is fucking champion right now. Perspective.
We'll hit on more of that fight towards the end of this episode. We're gonna go down as usual, bottom to top, breaking shit down, talking what we thought of the fights. And I'm just gonna open it up here, bro. Like tough, tough was. I know you weren't the biggest fan of the tough season. I didn't even watch it, so I can't speak on it. But man, that fight right there for Katana versus Gibson, that make any MMA fan want to go back and rewatch that season. I mean, shit, it made me want to go watch that season. Oof, there's that step back right hand.
I literally looked up and I seen that shit. I was like, God damn, I gotta make sure the people see it. But nah, shout out fucking Brad Katana. Shout out me. Called that shit from the second I seen bro fight in the before I even knew he had won tough before. I called it when I seen bro fight in the fights to get onto the to the show. I was like, oh, he's a problem.
Yeah, and you made it an official pick, like the second episode we did of the Tough series. You was I asked you, and I was like, you got to pick one out of this remaining lot. Who's gonna win it all? And you like immediately, well, Brad Katana's probably gonna win it all. But like,
Yeah,
fun, I could pick somebody else.
yeah, I was about to say like Brad, like the second I seen bro, I was like, yeah, bro's gonna fuck him up. Bro's gonna fuck him all up, and that's what he did. He fought a lot of good fights. I think the semifinal fight was against what's his name? I want to say it was against the Dagestani, and that was a war. So shout out Brad Katana for yeah, that was against the Dagestani dude. Yeah, what's his name? Tamir Vilev. He's friends with Islam. That's why Islam was on the show. And he fought the dude that he's the person that had to cut weight twice because the dude had something on his face. Romeo called it herpes. So when I seen Cody Gibson fight dude, right? I mean Brad Katana fight dude right there, that's when I knew like, oh, this dude is about to be a hitter. But what I wasn't expecting was Cody Gibson to be a big dog brawling motherfucker. Because this fight was a banger. I didn't see the whole thing, but every fight I saw, every moment I saw, them boys were throwing them shits.
600 strikes thrown between the both of them.
Fucking insane.
In a 3-round fight, that means they're averaging 100 per person. Because I mean, Gibson threw 273 to Brad Katana's 327, which combined equals 600 exactly. So that's like damn near 100 strikes thrown per round. Like 5-minute rounds, that's 20. That's 20 strikes per minute. Like that's an insane volume. And like Kev, before we started, Kev pointed out like come like a minute, 2 minutes left in that third round. They weren't even dodging no more. They were just throwing, getting punched, throwing, getting punched, and that's what I think Tough needed. Like Tough, we didn't like. I don't know. Like they're still trying to figure out what the winning recipe is right now. But if you put on fights like that throughout the year, that's the winning recipe. I don't give a fuck what else you got going. I don't care who's the coaches. Like this, that right there. Even that was cherry on top. I think that's gonna save Tough is like you could have a terrible season, no one gives a fuck, no one gives a fuck, but then you leave off with a good taste in people's mouth, and it's like, I guess we'll have another season. It's like when a show could be mid the whole show, but then the season finale is a banger, you'll forget about how mid the show was. You'll be like, oh yeah, we're gonna have to run it back for the next season.
Nah, dead ass. But yeah, that shit was fire. Shout out Cody Gibson. I hope they both get motherfucking contracts. They both deserved it. Motherfucking that shit's crazy. But this wasn't the only tough fight. How'd you feel about my dog Austin Hubbard getting choked out with triangle choked out by or I can't even think of his name right now. It's crazy.
Kurt Holoblaw.
Yeah.
I mean, Hubbard he was shooting the takedowns. He got a couple of them, and then this like that boy Holoblaw. I mean, I didn't know much about them, but leaving the fight, I realized like, okay, Holoblaw got a legit BJJ like type of. Even off his back, he was still trying to shoot some submission attempts. So like, I like BJJ. I like BJJ off your back, especially if you can get the submission off your back. And to me, I'm just like, oh shit, like you're dangerous offensively and defensively. So I'm gonna pay attention to him. But I mean, to me, it was just another filler fight getting along with the show. I didn't really care too much about it, take much away. It wasn't like the other tough finale fight. And I think that's if the other tough finale fight wasn't as much of a banger, I probably would have more to talk about on this one. But the other one was just to me just so much better that like I don't even care about this one right here. Like, the other one was like, holy shit.
Nah, but one thing I do have to say about this fight is that the way that he transitioned is fucking insane. So like just this entire sequence like is fucking crazy. You got Brody right here. Take it back. This is after he taps him out. Takes him to the replay. Gets his ass. Boom. Hits his ass. Cracks his ass. Gets his ass on the floor. Immediately looking for a submission. Climbs in. Looks. Sees. Feels the armbar. He's looking for the armbar. He's grabbing the armbar.
Got it. And
you want to roll?
Oh, that's no problem. Right into the triangle.
No problem. You wanted to roll? We practiced that. Straight into the triangle choke. And tap my boy out. And time out. I mean, Austin Hubbard was a hitter. Austin Hubbard wasn't like a UFC. It wasn't like a tough, like just a random motherfucker that made it or caught a couple. Austin Hubbard was nice all season, and for Hubbard to just put on just a quick masterclass is pretty nice. What did he get that finish in the second or the first?
Second.
Yeah, that was pretty smooth. So hopefully these dudes motherfucking can do things in the UFC, and I think that's what Tough needs. Tough needs motherfuckers that they win the show and then actually go and win fights, like really make shit happen. Like I don't know who the last champion was, but like maybe Juliana Pena was the last tough fighter to become champion. Maybe Alex
Ryan Battle comes to mind for recent winners,
but he didn't get a championship.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking about tough fighters that have got a championship. I mean, you can make an argument that Moreno was a motherfucking champion, but Pantoja knocked him off. You can make an argument.
Pantoja too. Was it Pantoja?
You can make an argument for Pantoja. Did Pantoja win or did he get knocked off?
I think he won Ultimate Fighter.
I think he got knocked off. I think he beat Moreno in the semis.
Yeah, no, I know he beat him in the semis, but I wouldn't be able to tell you who beat him in the finale if he did lose.
Yeah, so that's what I'm thinking about. Like, there's a lot of motherfuckers that they just need to win. They need to go into the UFC and win. If they can go into the UFC, get a bag, win, motherfuckers might start respecting Tough again. But I don't think they're putting those people in there. Those are the Jamal Hills and the Sugar Sean O'Malley's.
Oh, what about? I mean, I don't know if they'll ever do it, but what about you get like instead of finding like 20 motherfuckers that are go out and find like your solid like 6 to 8 tough that you would be like this would be my tough fighters, and then like a solid core group of 6 to 8. And then get contender series winners or contract getters. And then just have a contender series versus tough type thing. I don't know. I doubt they'll ever do it because I feel like one might expose the other. And you can't have that. You got to have two good products. You can't have one product dominate the other and then not everyone's looking at this product down here. Like, but I think that would be kind of fun, like looking into it, like just get or even make a card like that. If you happen to line up enough people at different weight classes, get like the tough winners versus contender series winners there. I don't know.
I think that'd be a good idea. And they would just have to plan that bitch out like a year ahead. Because like after tough contender series goes on. So I don't know if they would want the tough fighters to do that. But I also look at it not just to condemn the UFC, but it's also easier to go to the contender series. Like if I'm a fighter, what would I rather do? Go fight on the Dana White Contender Series for a motherfucking week, win that bitch and get a contract, or go fight in this tournament and go live in this house with motherfuckers for I don't know how long.
And you're
And
cut off to your society because they take your phone, they take all that. You can't be like everything. Especially, I know projects with reality TV. The moment you're sign up to it, like you're cut off from your family and everyone you know for the next 6 months. That's why when they bring in the families, they be crying and like, oh my god, I missed you. Like it's yeah, like you just don't like. Would you rather be cut off from society and maybe not even get money? Because even if you lose, you can't go back home and start talking about the shit that happened. Like they be having your ass wait around until the show is finally done being filmed.
yeah, so that's interesting. Like, even in the Trayshawn Gore interview on the Bourbon and Bud podcast, he spoke on that a little bit. So I think it's easier as a fighter. Like it's more appealing to say, hey, let me get a spot on the Contender Series. Let me earn a spot on the Contender Series. Go to the Contender Series, knock a motherfucker out, and be like a Bo Nickel or a Sugar Sean O'Malley or Jamal Hill. Like, let's win it that way type shit.
All right. Well, shout out to the tough fighters. They showed out. I mean, both fights were great. Like you didn't have to say this was a tough fight. Like I would have watched this fight on normal main card and been or normal prelim and been very fucking happy with both of the fights.
I would have been happy if they were main card fights too.
But then let's get into this was almost the egg on the head. I mean, it still is egg on the head for me personally, but the other one was just a shared egg on our head because it was just so bad for both of us. But Brad Tavares gets the unanimous decision win over Chris Weidman. Yeah, he gets the win, but there was no oh my god moment. And now I'm at the point where like I'm out on Brad Tavares. I'm no longer campaigning for him for anything. But yeah, he got 30-27. He fucking obliterated Chris Weidman's leg the whole fight and then pieced up a few solid shots here or there. But I like Wyman, I don't think was ever in any serious trouble of ever getting knocked out. And I'm just like, bro, what the fuck, Tavares? Like you, this is a 39-year-old guy from who's about to turn 40 in a few months. First off, you're an asshole. You're an asshole, Brad Tavares, for front kicking somebody who leg literally got shattered 2 years ago. Like that's an asshole move, bro. Like I understand all like it's all fair in love and war, but come on, man. This guy's 40 years old. It's his brand new leg, and you're over here. That's that's over and over. Like trying to re-break that bitch. It looked like.
And the thing about it was Chad Weidman Chad or Chris Chris Weidman even said like, yo, is he going for my bad leg?
Yeah, like what the fuck are you doing? This ain't a good look, bro.
Ray Longo said he said that like mid-fight type shit.
Hey, but they made that boy Wyman the $1 billion man. They rebuilt him. They made him stronger. That leg is tougher from what it looks like. Maybe we got to keep that in mind when we talk about Connor's next fight, maybe December.
Nah, they said in the press conference, Dana White said Connor's next year.
Yeah, no, he did, but then Connor came back after that and like reiterated December. And then Sugar Sean and Connor talked like they didn't leak like post photos, but they openly discussed what their messages were like. And Connor messaged Sugar Sean saying, "Great win, mate. I always knew you could do it," or some shit. And then Sugar was like, thank you. And then he followed up like, so what? You main eventing for December and I'm a co-main event? And Conor McGregor said, shot collar. That's all he said back.
We'll see. That'd be interesting. We'll see. Hopefully that does happen.
Yeah, that'd be fun. But yeah, no, but I mean, outside of that, this fight, very uninteresting to me for a featured prelim. It wasn't, I mean, I think it was a sign of what to come for the next couple fights. But Brad Tavares got the win. That's all I could take from it.
And he did it sleazy.
Yeah, shiesty Tavares.
Ice. Sleazy Tavares. We're gonna have him on the show one day. I'll be like, so you had to go for his leg? You say, yo, I'm getting this dub no matter what.
Yeah. I don't give a fuck. Then Cheeto Vera gets an unanimous decision over Pedro Munoz. This was my dog of the race here. I wasn't too mad when Pedro Munoz lost, but I will say the 30-27 judges are kind of wild because the second round in particular is like by far to me and like mostly anyone I was watching was a Pedro Munoz round where it was like 42 strikes compared to Cheeto's like 20, and there wasn't really any moments of like him about to be getting KO'd or anything to like worry like, oh, well, the damage versus output. So Cheeto won, and maybe this sets up for the Sugar Sean rematch. I mean, that's what everyone keeps alluding to, where pay-per-view number wise, that would probably be the best pay-per-view for, and Dana likes his pay-per-views. So like if you can sell it, you'll probably get to jump some people who should be ahead of you.
I mean, I think it's just perfect timing for him because it's well, first off, fight was cool. I wouldn't say it was boring. I feel like there was a lot of back and forth exchanges. I think his strategy always fucks me up. So ever since Sandhagen broke it down, it was like, yo, low-key, that's a terrible strategy. If you're willing to give up the first 3 rounds and then like turn it up into 2. I think that's a Cheeto thing. It just there's something in his strategy, in his game plan that says, yo, we're gonna take it slow, we're gonna download the data, and then we're gonna turn it up on him in the later rounds. And like
it's that power. He believes that power is gonna hurt him and change the fight.
So yeah, I respect it, but I wouldn't go for it. But it's interesting because I think it's just perfect timing. I think that's why another reason why Sean won it in December, because like Sandhagen, 6 months gone. Marab still ain't got no hand, I think, gone. Motherfucking Aljo just got beat. Motherfucking Cejudo, shoulder hurt, gone. Yawn, who cares? We already seen it. Like it just makes a sense at the time, and it'll sell well, and it'll be a great way to end the year.
And sometimes it isn't about, like it's not about what you do and all your resume and everything. Sometimes it's who you know. And it just so happens that Cheeto and Sean have some sort of drama already brewing, and you're gonna probably skip a line. Like it just happens in real life and in fighting terms. It just happens. Sometimes the person who happens to know the right people and be in the right spot at the right time with the right background, you get fucking front line to the front.
No, but like 5-round fight, Sean O'Malley might kill him. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah, no, O'Malley still is yet to see past the 3rd round, so I feel like that's still gonna be a question mark moving forward. But I mean, he definitely. I mean, some people don't need it. You don't need it.
Oh yeah, but yeah, shout out Cheeto for getting the win. My boy said, "Fuck the haircut." He's growing everything out, doing his thing. So shout out that boy.
And then we had Mario Batista name his decision over Damon Blackshear, which was a fun fight. I do have Mario Batista winning it. There were some people trying to argue that they feel like Damon Blackshear should have won, and the scorecards are outrageous. All this, da 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 da. But I mean, Mario Batista to me, he hurt him in some instances, not like KO hurt him, but he definitely had him hurt when he was cracking him, and I just feel like he had the better shots. Sue me.
Sue me. I'm crying. I agree with that. I think 30-27 on this fight is a little wild. I can definitely give Damon Blackshear the first round. I think he came out aggressive, and if he had fought like that for all 3 rounds, it might have had a different outcome. But at the end of the day, it does come down to like I just feel like Damon Blackshear landed shots, but motherfucking Mario Batista landed better shots. That's just it.
And then this is when we start getting into the more juicier fights. Garry obliterates Neil Magny, destroys the front leg. First kick of the fight, blows it out. What's up, Kev?
So we got to get to this press conference before we say anything about this fight.
Yeah, as y'all know, we record pre-press conference, so we didn't get to talk about the fucking doozy we were in for.
So that's something I meant to bring up when I was talking about how good the card was, but I had to defend. I'm not saying the card was ass, so I forgot. But this was a great press conference for this fucking card. I will say one of my favorite press conferences. It's up there with I forgot what
Izzy Piera when Sean
Strickland was. Yep, literally. I'm glad you knew that because I remember I was watching that on the podcast and I was like, yo, there's some dude named Sean Strickland. He just said that he would murder everybody in the room. Hold on, y'all boys. I'm tapping in real quick.
You over there? I'll kill you. Like, whoa.
I said I'd be in fucking prison right now for fucking killing all y'all. I was like, oh shit, I've never seen this guy before. But this was a really good press conference. The back and forth between Aljo and Sean was cool because Sean was just so chill and so unbothered. And he said that it was nerves, but oh man, it was great. But Garry, and Neil Magny. was no back and forth because Ian Garry, I guess Neil Magny said something about hitting children, and Ian Garry wasn't going for it. Ian Garry, don't get me wrong, me personally, I used to get my ass whooped. I understand why Ian Garry feels that way. I personally would probably, I do believe in disciplining children, just but maybe not to an extent to where not extent to where it's borderline child abuse. Like, but Ian Garry wasn't going for that. He said, "You never raise your never fucking raise your hand to the kid." And then
I feel bad for Neil Magny's son after this fight, bro. I'm gonna say that. Continue.
bro, I'm not gonna lie to you. No disrespect. I don't even like talking about niggas' families and shit. But if that was my stepdad and he hit me, my stepdad hit me and I watched on TV him get fucking 30-24. Oh yeah, bro, you ain't telling me shit when we get back to that. I don't give a fuck. I'm telling Ian Garry if you touch me, he gonna do it again.
I'm gonna hit him with the meanest leg kick. Like, oh yeah, you're not trained for that.
Nah, for real. But that shit was crazy. But the craziest thing about it was Ian Garry spaz. I told y'all he was gassed up. I told you he was coming on one. This motherfucker then said nobody can answer questions. Nobody is allowed. I'm not allowing anybody to ask Neil Magny questions. He needs to sit down and think about what the fuck he did. And that's exactly what Ian Garry did. That shit was crazy.
Bro, Ian Garry is the real deal. Even Gator, I'm mad he's not here. I texted him and I was like, you just see Garry beating the shit out of him right now. And he's just like, unfortunately, Ian Garry is him. And I was like, because he's not a big Ian Garry fan either. He didn't believe in the hype. And like at this point, like there was that boy Tom was trying to defend it from the small creators chat, like, oh, he didn't get the finish. Bro, we just watched a man that's 10-8, the number 11th ranked pound welterweight in the world. That's completely, absolutely dog walking from first second to last second. And someone even pointed out, you ever play UFC? I'm a big UFC guy on the sticks. If you get a leg kick and the guy's like stunned about to get, there's a way to spam leg kicks and you get the KO by leg kick. And like, it's kind of bullshit. Like, like who the fuck's playing the game to get the KO by the leg kick type shit? So they're saying Ian Garry's playing fucking UFC 4 right now, and he don't want to win with a lame ass leg kick. So he's trying to, and like there was that moments where if Ian Garry would have threw another one, the ref probably would have stopped it. Even the commentators are pointing that out. Like Ian Garry is not just that like the leg kick's hurting him, it's the reaction he's giving the ref. Because the moment a leg kick, he would fall, like wince, like almost be like complete, like how someone would be with a liver shot, like defenseless and pain. And it's like at some point, if that would like all Ian Garry had to do was get him back up and then kick it again. But he didn't. He would like, go back into trying to mix in the combos, and he did. There was even one like mean liver punch. That was a sin. Like, ooh, like, oh my God. Like, where, like, I'm not going to say he's the next Connor. This is the next Ian Garry. Ian Garry looks so silky on the feet, and he's so big for welterweight. He's so tall and long, where he just made Neil Magny look kind of small in the ring. Where it's Neil
He
Magny
definitely did. Because Magny
towers over fight.
Against Gilbert Burns. But no, I agree with that wholeheartedly. Ian Garry is just a problem. And you don't got to say that he's the next Ian Garry. He's the future. He's a future. But like
Ian Machado Garry. That's so good.
And I love his mindset behind it. Like, yo, I don't want to rush nothing. I want to put on the best fights, and I want to continue to grow as a full fighter. Brett said he went to Brazil to listen.
Yeah, no, he travels. Him and his team will go anywhere where they believe what the best fighter for that practice is at. They travel to Brazil for BJJ. They'll travel to like, I'm not sure, but they probably would go to Russia to go get some sambo training, and like they will train and go get those real deal teachers. Like I didn't know that about him, and I found that out during the card. And I was like, that's that winning mentality. That's what separates the greats.
And that's why, and then he's Irish, so he's gassed the fuck up, fired up, lit, blood of the Irish, doing his thing in Boston. Don't get me wrong, fuck Boston, but he is in Boston doing his thing.
Celtics, them leprechauns, boy, like that. He was in with this people.
Yeah, I fuck with Ian Garry. I fuck with Ian Garry, and like hopefully he just keeps on winning. And I like the fact that he doesn't stray away from the ideas of good fights. Like he wants to fight Wonder Boy next, and he's gonna strike with Wonder Boy. He's like, bro. I mean, wrestling might happen, but like, nah, man. Like we're going in this bitch to strike. I want to show that I can beat one of the best strikers in the division
I
with
love
strike.
that fight. I love that fight.
But Wonder Boy probably gonna curve. They say Dana's saying Wonder Boy kind of just holding on to the spot. You're not trying to fight nobody better than him.
What
But
about Ian Garry versus Kevin Holland?
that's nice, but that doesn't move him up.
No, that's probably true. Don't move him up. But I mean,
Kevin Holland probably doesn't want to fight at 170.
that's true. He did talk about moving back up to 185. But I would love the Wonder Boy fight because I think this fight can win. But I think there's a handful of fighters that he can beat moving up in that division after just off the performances. Because you're not like people thought when people talk about going from college football to NFL, there's a difference. Like that's how it is when you go from fighting unranked guys to ranked guys in MMA. And I haven't seen Ian Garry look any different from the first guy he fought in UFC to now beating Neil Magny at 11.
Nah, dead ass. And that's the beauty of it. And he's taking his time, he's getting better with it. And that's why I kind of respect the way Sean O'Malley did it, because we talk all this shit, we talk all that stuff. We like, oh yeah, we love it, and then we think, yeah, Gilbert Burns can fight anybody. But then when he loses, when he throws out his shoulder in the first round against Bilal, we're like, damn, you probably should have waited. That wasn't a good idea. We want to see everybody fight, everybody do this, everybody do that. Terrence McKinney, and then niggas get knocked out. Then it's like, man, fuck T-Rex. So I do like the fact that I understand it now. They're getting used to it and they're building their skill sets. I fuck with dudes like that. So they're only going to go up and up from here.
People thinking that Geoff Neal would have made the difference. I don't know. The way Ian Garry looked that night, Saturday, he would look like he was in the zone. I don't know who you put in front of him.
And Ian Garry broke it down the way I've never thought about it before. He was like, you can say Neil Magny took the fight on 7 days' notice, but Ian Garry was like, I took the fight on 7 days' notice too. And I was like, oh, damn.
Yeah, they gave him the option. Do you still want to fight on the card? This is your opponent we would give you.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, we'll see how that goes. I'm hoping that they make that Wonder Boy fight, but I wouldn't be shocked if Wonder Boy says, nah, I'm straight.
And then on to our next fight, the fight that I feel like was my golden goose, where my take at least aged well. A lot of my takes on the last card picks, this card picks, didn't age too well. But the Rousey to Nunes to Weili handoff, I think is going to age really well right now. I said I could look bad. Lemos catches her, submits her, and I'm looking stupid after her first defense on this belt again. But what we just watched Weili do to Amanda Lemos, there was multiple times where I thought this fight was over. I feel like the 50-48s are very not 50-48, but the 10-8 rounds are very warranted in this fight. First round, second round. I think it was the second round where Lemos did have a guillotine locked in for a split second. But Weili, the way
it was like Darce.
Oh yeah, no, the Darce, yeah. But the way Weili feet never stop moving, and she's always moving the way that she's rolling and always in dominant positions, bro. I'm just saying there she'll have she'll be on side control, and then Lemos tries to do something to get out of it, and you just see Weili like a spider monkey, just fucking full 180. Now she's on the other side, doing everything perfectly. I'm just like, wow, wrestling, BJJ, striking, and there's no weakness for her. And I really do believe she's gonna defend this belt for a long while.
No, I respect that. I mean, she fucked her up. Fucked her up. The striking differential was 288 to 21. Paul, I didn't have to look that up. I didn't have to check that. I didn't have to look at my notes. That's burned in my brain. I did not think that was real. There was no way that shit happened. I can't wait to rewatch this fight. This Zhang Weili is a problem. And I would have loved to see her beat Rose, fight Rose again, and beat Rose, avenge that loss, and then just tear that division until she retired on some Amanda Nunes shit.
I'm telling you, they're waiting. That fight's gonna sell. I said it on the pick. I was like, we're gonna get the Rose versus Weili 3 whenever Rose finally finishes what she's doing. Maybe it's next year, maybe it's 2 years, 3 years from now. I think maybe more like next year, and then that'll be probably one of the biggest women's fight we've had in a little, because no women fight really is gonna be holding it down that Nunes is gone. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
So that will be the fight that will be big for women's MMA, I think, next year.
Mm. But super quick before we get into the main event, motherfucking, I did want to highlight a couple things that are on the card, like on some quick shit. We
All
forgot to
right,
name
point them
this
out. Point
segment.
them out.
So Karina Silva, guillotine choke, one motherfucking second left in the fucking round. Nice. Definitely want to see what the fuck she got going on. Natalia Silva from 30-27, killing Andrea
She
Lee.
looked
This is her
legit.
second
This
fight.
was the fight. Yeah, I was like, if she does good and looks good, she's legit fighter in the division.
Hell yeah.
If she gets beat up and it's a close fight, she just looks good.
Mm-hmm. And motherfucking, and then we got to talk about the shit where motherfuckers MMA Twitter is slightly upset about. Motherfucking, a lot of people are saying Andre Petrosky lost against Gerald Meerschaert. A lot of people are saying I didn't see the fight. I couldn't. I'm not even gonna get a take until I rewatch it. But a lot of people are saying Meerschaert looked like he could have won it. No, and there are also people that aren't mad about Petrosky for winning. But a lot of people are
It's the
saying
knockdown. That's what saves Petrosky. He got a knockdown. That's why I think That's why it is a very close fight. But if he didn't knock down Gerard Meerschaert, Meerschaert did outstrike him. There was very even on the ground. Um, like this is one of Meerschaert's better outings in recent memory. But the knockdown does not help when you go to judges.
Fact. So hey man, it is what they say, man. All right, what you guys say is what you say. I'm gonna rewatch it. I'm gonna let you know. But a lot of people are mad. A lot of people are saying Petrosky's stock down, sell. If you got stock in Petrosky right now, sell. Because that wasn't a great performance. And lastly, I don't know if you saw
RoboCop.
this fight, but yeah, Gregory Rodriguez.
RoboCop.
Yeah, they're saying that he hit the elbow to the back of the head, Paul. It was in the first minute. What you say? I heard the best description I heard about it was imagine you having a mohawk. And it's not just a regular mohawk, nothing too crazy. They're saying like bro hit like right there on where the mohawk would get cut. Like whereas it goes from mohawk to scalp, that's where he hit. And I was like, oh
I'm
no,
gonna have
man.
to rewatch it because I do know that was the conversation. But when he landed it, I can't remember where the ref is because you also got to remember what the ref's view of everything is. And the ref, even though it did hit in the back of the head, I believe the ref was on the other side of them. So to the ref's view, it looked like he just hit like elbow the whole side of his head, not that the first contact point was the back of the head. I could be wrong, but I believe the ref wasn't fully on it. But he may I can't remember where the ref was because I also saw someone arguing that.
The
Yeah,
ref looked like he.
so yeah, see, it's a few elbows.
Ooh. Okay, so I see the exact elbow they were talking about too. So that second elbow looked
But the
pretty.
second elbow, so you see what I'm saying? The second elbow, the ref is on the opposite side of it.
Yeah.
So all he can see is contact. Like it's he just sees contact on the side of the head. Like it is also a bang by bang moment.
I don't know, Paul. It looks like the ref's looking right at that, but I don't think he's looking at the head. I think he's looking at to see if Jit's still alive.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, see where he's landing right there. His view is on the top angle where all he sees is the side and back of the head, and then elbow on top. It's like you can't really see where the elbow lands. You do see it hits this whole region of the head though.
Okay, Paul. Okay.
So like that's why it's not like 12 to 6 elbows where you're like, hey, that's landing exactly on the back of the head. You're coming in an angle where I can't tell because this is hitting the back of the head, but this is hitting side of the head, and I can't tell if you're making contact first with this or with this, and like that's what I'm saying. It's a bang bang moment.
Okay. When you break it down like that, I can respect that. But I wasn't mad either. You know, I like RoboCop. I was gonna pretend like I was gonna tell everybody that he hit him with punches. I wasn't gonna tell nobody to do an elbow.
Fully legal.
I'll be like, yeah.
Also, he was also hurt pretty badly. So if you're a ref, you're like, this guy's already hurt. Are you like? It's kind of like if he would have landed 2 inches to the left instead of to the right, and it was full side contact, the fight's still getting stopped. So you also got to take that into the mind.
I can't remember what the exact term is, but there's a 1 inch variant or something like that. And that's like the gray area. Like some refs might call it, some refs might not.
And that's the game of MMA. Sometimes you gotta play with who you got. Are they like how refs are in football? Are they letting the corners and wide receivers get handsy, or are they calling it every time? So you gotta know who you're dealing with.
That's real now.
Now, you were talking about stock earlier, and if you happen to be, I, I'm not endorsed by them, but if you're on this little stock app that I use, Fantasy Predictions or some shit like that, I can't remember the name, but Sugar Sean's stock went from $1.05 to $4.50, which is a 440% increase. So if you had a lot of stock in it, if you had $100 in Sugar Sean, it would have turned into $440 overnight if you had that stock of Sugar Sean.
The money line was there was a dude that bet 8,000 and he ended up winning. With Sugar, we bet money line 8,000 straight up on DraftKings, and we're left with 24 like
24, yeah, because he was like a 2-1 underdog, so he got his $8,000 back plus the like 16,000 he won.
that shit is nice.
Yeah, so like Sugar Sean, second. If you haven't seen it yet, go look at it. This is the. I mean, when's the last time you saw UFC put the fight onto YouTube immediately after?
But
Sugar
Dana White
Sean.
posted a knockout on his Twitter personal.
Yeah, like they're trying to promote him into. He's already a star in his own right. There's not. You don't have to do much else other than to shoot him to the moon, and they're doing it. They posted the knockout and the whole fight immediately on YouTube. That never happens to UFC for a pay-per-view.
Never.
So
In general, that doesn't happen. I've never seen them post like they post free fights before the fight. Like Izzy and Alex too is up there now, but we have to go see that live in person. They wasn't gonna ever let and record on your phone if you want to see that shit again.
usually there's a good little minute before that touches YouTube. So like for them to do it the day of, it just shows how much they're putting behind it. Sean O'Malley. He gets the second round KO with the mean step back right hand that lands right on the money. Over top, patiently waiting, finds his shot, lands, and it's big ones. They're haymakers. Head hitting the back of the mat, bouncing back up. And we got ourselves a new bantamweight champion of the world. It's the Sugar Show from here on out. It happened. I talked so much shit on the cat. I was wrong. He is champion. I apologize for everything I said. No matter what happens from here on out, there's nothing I can take away from the fact that he just became champion of bantamweight, like, and beat one of the most dominant bantamweight champions we have in recent memory.
So I will say, my apologies to Zhang Weili. I forgot to bring the belt out because champions only speak to other champions. You feel me?
It's true.
Only champions can speak on other champions. You feel me? Paul won the drinking champions 5 times running, so he can always talk. But this fight was crazy. It was crazy. I'm not gonna give my first breakdown yet. I'm gonna sit down and congratulate Sugar Sean. Sugar. They should call you Sugar. You're so sweet. That boy had the hands and he had sweet feet. That's what a lot of people aren't gonna respect. I will say Aljo couldn't have taken him down in that first round because Sean didn't want to clinch. Sean didn't want to grapple. And Sean kept moving. And even Aljo said in his post-fight interview, interview, that side-to-side shit was not comfortable. You couldn't have set up. So, like, it was having struggles setting up shots. Like, the best that Aljo landed on the first round was when he caught him on the cage, grabbed his leg, and was then landing those jabs to the face. But those weren't really hurting Sean for it. But it did do enough for him to win the round. So, the fact that Sean kept his feet moving, I think is a very under talked about thing that's not going to be talked about as much. And then the fact he has dynamite on his fucking hands, like that shit was legit, motherfucking the closest thing we've seen since Jose Aldo versus Conor McGregor. Like you had a very dominant champion, dude that was fucking a lot of motherfuckers up. And then there's that dude that landed that one on your chin and got you.
And no one, I mean, I've been seeing the talks of it. He was on the Bradley Martin podcast and they paused it. This was all pre-recorded. They paused it and then they were like, yo, we're not going to air this. Like, how is like training really going on? Because I guess they're somewhat friendly. And then he was like, I blew my fucking something out. So
he broke one of his ribs.
Broke one of his ribs, so he couldn't roll BJJ
for 7 weeks.
The whole camp. And he'd get it like if Aljo would have known that, if anyone would have known that, they would have been like, "Oh, that's crazy talk." Like, well, what? You're about to go fight somebody who specifically dominates on the ground without training any BJJ and not being able to train BJJ because you have a broken rib, and how is that going to play into the fight itself? So I even more kudos for that. A lot of people withdraw from the fight. He said himself, if he
Yeah,
wasn't main event, he would have withdrew probably if it was co-main some shit. So shot like I am starting to see he has a lot more dog in him than I gave him credit for.
I mean, yeah, definitely, man. Shout out that boy Sean O'Malley. Aljo, but this is where my breakdown comes, right, Paul? So I think this is when the hate. This is when people say being a champion, becoming a champion is tough. Winning a championship belt back is tough, is even tougher. But the toughest thing you can do is defend that championship belt. That shit is tough. And I think this is when it comes to defending a belt is way tougher than winning a belt. Because Aljo could have won that fight. He really, really, really could have won that fight. I think Sugar was waiting. Sugar would have stayed patient and he would have pulled it. And then he had two choices. He would either look like Sean O'Malley for getting a dominant ass fucking strike that fucking takes Aljo out, or he would look like a Cheeto Vera ass motherfucker that was downloading data the whole time until he eventually got wrestle fucked. So Sean, shout out Sean for picking the right shot, getting it there. But I think Aljo really was playing into the I didn't want to have a boring fight. I seen that his footwork he was better than I expected. His footwork is there. He's moving around. I can't really land on him. It's just sure. I just think he really let the fight itself get to him, and that's what kind of pushed him in that position because Bro did not need to be overextended like he was there's no such thing as overextending when you're throwing a punch to hit somebody. But like, bro's definitely letting his head go a little bit too far. Like, bro's really putting everything he has because he was trying to land something clean and make this bitch exciting. Like, no, bro, stay dominant like Sean O'Malley did. Sean O'Malley broke his ribs and knew I have to play my game and my game only. I can't even do like Volk and how Volk was against Islam and just practicing getting out
Play
of
with it.
positions. Nope, can't even play with it. Get the fuck up out of here every time. This one my motherfucker wants to grapple, he has to fucking kill me to get me on this fucking floor. He needs the gun. So shout out Sean O'Malley, but Aljo could have won this fight, but I do respect the class he had afterwards. He chilled. He didn't trip. Shit definitely sucked. But he gave Sean his props. He congratulated the family, and he showed that he's not no bitch. And then you got to remember, bro's a high school teacher. Find this. He went from being a high school teacher to the most dominant. I wouldn't go far. I wouldn't immediately say the best bantamweight champion ever from a skill set perspective, but he definitely had one of the most dominant runs ever as a bantamweight. Probably one of the most dominant, a top 10, a top 15, top 25 run as just a champion in UFC history since it's only been 30 years. Like, he really put the bantamweight they put the bantamweight division back on the map. Because when's the last time you seen a bantamweight main event?
No,
That was
that's
like
true.
that was like
Dominic Cruz.
lit. That was like lit. Cause like you see like Dominic Cruz and like Cheeto Vera versus Gordon. But them fight nights, I'm talking pay-per-view main event. Dominic Cruz, the only one I could think of.
No, that's what I'm saying. The last like main event pay per view bantamweighter was probably Dominic Cruz in his run.
So yeah, Aljo, motherfucking is what Sean O'Malley's about to do. They're putting this division. They're putting this division back on the map, and you're understanding that this division is so fine because everybody's so close in motherfucking skill. Like Cheeto Vera might get the motherfucking Cheeto Vera might get the China fight next in December, and we're looking at and he's like ranked like number 6, 7. And we're looking like, he might have the better skill set than Sean O'Malley all around if he can fight his fight.
So a lot of the odds have already like early odds have dropped on certain sports books already where Sugar Sean versus Aljamain rematch. Aljo is the favorite minus 150. The Sugar Sean will be the underdog like plus 120. If he fight Sandhagen, he would be a slight underdog versus Sandhagen. If he was to fight Marab, it would be a pick'em minus 110 each.
Really?
Yeah, and then if he's to fight Cheeto, that was the only one where he's the favorite, and he would be favored by like minus 180 to Cheetos plus 150 or something.
Yeah, and that's the fight that's gonna be next, just because it's perfect timing. Like everybody else is hurt. I bet you Dana's expecting Aljo to go to 145 because he was already saying this is his last fight at 135. So he's like, nah, but you're not just gonna switch because you lost, nigga. So like, I don't know.
Yeah, I would have to see because that would be the fight I pick next, unless Aljo does end up wanting to chase a rematch clause. Oh, then Henry Cejudo was also on the odds, and I think Cejudo was favored against him also. But very
Yeah, that gives Cejudo something to fight for. I will say that.
all of them called him out too. Well, Marab didn't call him out, but all the other ones started calling out
Now,
Sugar easy.
Marab definitely called him out. He said everything fucking possible about this shit. I've never seen Marab so angry before, and it's all tweets. Like I could just feel the anger coming. I'm like, yeah, I'll be forgetting Marab's a killer at the same time. But yeah,
Man,
and I
I
always
mean,
think
great
it's funny.
fight. I mean, but Aljo, he played his game. He didn't play Aljo's game. If he would have went in there like how Marab versus Yan, everyone knew Yan had the better striking. So what did Marab do? Shoot an insane amount of takedowns, out cardio him, and broke him down playing his game. Instead, Aljo went in there and wanted to put on a fight for the fans. And I don't fault him for it because he does always get the knock of being boring and people don't like him and all that. But how are you going to come out to the press conference with a backpack on and then not? And then we didn't see that. We didn't see that. Like you leaned into like, oh, I am the backpack motherfucker. I'm gonna backpack this motherfucker for all 5 rounds. I'm gonna win. And then you go in there and you're not even actually try to do that. So I was just like,
But that's where the defending the championship becomes way harder than gaining it. And at the end of the day, man, I seen his face. The one thing I will say, I seen his face, and he looked like it did look like there was a big sigh of relief. Like motherfuckers, because imagine how hard they were hating, man. Now, like nobody really gives a fuck as much. Like it's like Thanos, like, okay, the world's over now. Like, what do we do now?
and people probably might be back on his side that didn't like him for whatever reason. If he does move up or if he gets the rematch, who knows? Maybe he'll have more actual fans. I'd be like, yeah, I like Aljo actually. Like he's not the person I can hate on anymore.
No, I think it's far. But one thing I will say is mental health matters, man. I don't know how it feels like with fighters and stuff like that, but I think if Aljo wasn't a strong person, shit like that, like the situation, like being on top of the world and everybody hating you for it, I feel like that could really put you in a dark place.
All right. Well, off of the dark notes, finish on a high note. Shout out Sugar Sean. Sugar Sean O'Malley, current bantamweight champion in the world. Can't take it away from him. He did that shit. And his only real loss was when he broke his leg. So, like, if outside of that,
Oh, that's what happened. Is that why he always says that he didn't
he's
lose that fight?
undefeated still. Yeah.
Oh,
His
that's crazy.
Yeah, so like that's why he has that. That's why people are begging for the rematch. But and then shout out Zhang. I mean, continue your dominant run. No one right now at strawweight looks like they can touch you. And shout out. I mean, the three big winners I think were the last three fighters, and then Ian Garry. Like I think anyone who had a question mark on Ian Garry, if you still have a question mark on him leaving this fight, I might just say you're only hating at this point because he looks as legit as they come for a striking background.
Facts. And it's okay to hate because bro is gas to fuck up, but you hating for no reason. You hating on the wrong side of the gym, on the wrong side of the club, homie.
And then last but not least, hats off to the tough finale winners, and definitely big hats off to Brad Katana, double only person in history, two-time winner of the tough series. And shout out Cody Gibson. I hope my boy Dana White gives you a contract because you definitely deserved it with that fucking fight y'all put on.
Yeah, shout out them. Hopefully they future champions.
And but we gotta get the fuck out of here. As always, this has been Totally Blitz podcast. Tune in for the boxing Usyk versus Dubois episode coming out this week. Tune in for our UFC Singapore Holloway versus Korean Zombie. And tune in, we're coming back for football, baby. It's coming up. We're gonna have some shit coming later these weeks before the season actually kicks off. So stay tuned. And as always, this is Paul Pick and Win Concha. I'm joined with Kevin, Waterboy, Street Fight Enthusiast, Savoy, the People's Champ. And as always, if y'all didn't know, well, now y'all know, motherfuckers.